Coming to you. Okay, are we live? All right. Coming to you live. Wait, we are? Okay, good. Okay, good. Coming to you live from deep within a icy and windy and radioactive wasteland. We are the survivors of the alt-right keck-apocalypse. The few, the brave, the bitchy, once more wading into battle against the froggy lobster zombie hordes with this thing that we are doing now. Okay. Okay. Pop me that link. I know that YouTube decided to pop out another link from the infinite Pez dispenser of nonsense, and I'm gonna send it out. Just put it in my DMs. Slide into my DMs.
Oh, ew. Alison, you're married.
No. Yes, I am married. It's just a joke.
No sliding in anywhere.
No at all.
Okay. Or off your chair.
We had to. I'm just going to send a message out. We had to. We have a new instance of today's show. Thanks to YouTube's infinite room of instances, which spat out another one. All right.
And this is why I don't do anything live on YouTube. Like nothing. Everything's pre-recorded. Every once in a while,
I might live on YouTube. So you're like a self-demonstrating contradiction in selfness.
Oh, what? Like I go on your thing. Yeah, I don't have to do any of this shit. Like I don't have to figure nothing out. I just show up. I put on my headphones. I show up, and boom, and it's all up to Brian or Hannah. So, I think I've only even done like a handful of premieres on YouTube, and I've completely stopped monetizing all my videos. They just like, do you want to monetize? I'm just like, no. And the reason is that I am concerned that if I monetize any of my videos, they make you do the self-rating thing now, where you're like, yes, my video is suitable for advertisers, and you attest to that, and then if like they decide it wasn't, they're like, bang, strike. And I just don't like, I don't want it. There's not enough money in YouTube anymore for me, like in terms of ad revenue. For me to risk having my channel come down because I accidentally didn't judge the monetization worthiness of a video. So I just say, fuck it. I'm not taking money.
Oh, fucking goddamn. Sorry, I'm still in that Twitter war with Pat.
Oh, stop. Leave her alone. Leave her.
Just I
don't give her any more attention. It's not healthy for her.
Yeah, I just made. I don't know the exact number of girls who've been kidnapped by Boko Haram.
273.
Oh, okay. So I made a mistake. I said it was 287. All right.
273.
Yeah, but she's saying that essentially this is an ongoing argument with the feminist on Twitter, which I'm sure that's surprising everyone. That in which she is asserting that it's anti-feminist to simply point out that 10,000 boys were kidnapped by Boko Haram and something like 300 girls.
Yeah, and nobody cared. Nobody really cared. But then 273 girls were kidnapped by accident, believe it or not. Right? They weren't intending to kidnap them. They were showing up to what they thought was an empty school to raid the frickin' supply shed for food and fuel and all kinds of stuff. And there were all these girls already there, and they were like, oh, what do we do? And like, this is all testimony from the girls themselves, right? After they were rescued, right? Oh, what do we do? Like, do we just leave them here? Do we let them go? Like, do we take them with us? And then the guy who was in charge of the raiding party was like, oh, we better take them with us to go talk to the boss and see what he thinks. And then so these girls were kind of accidentally kidnapped by basically the freaking wet bandits or whatever they were called, right? Joe Pesci and Judd Nelson from Home Alone, bumbling freaking criminals who screwed up and made bad decisions that got them into more trouble than it was worth. And so basically these girls, they weren't even intending to go kidnap them. Mm-hmm. And if they'd been told by their boss there's going to be girls there, tell them to go home and live righteously under Allah and get married and have babies and stop learning how to read, because Boko Haram is just like Western education is haram, right? That's basically what it means. Yeah, if they'd been told, right, by their boss, if there's any girls there, just do what we normally do, which is let them go home. Just send them home, right? Then they would have been sent home. But nobody expected the girls to be there. And so the bumbling goofballs decided to take them back to the base to find out what the boss wanted to do with them. And then he's like, oh, what the fuck? I got all these girls now. What the hell am I supposed to do? And then he's like, oh, I guess I could use them for wives for the top guys.
Since they're here anyway.
I'm sorry. I didn't want them, but, you know.
It's the absurdity of it. It's like, what is that? Allah and Salim's excellent adventure.
Yeah, or Allah and Abdul go to White Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's horrible, but it's also like sort of funny too.
Oh, but God.
Yeah, and then there was the huge international outcry. But essentially, she's saying that
it wasn't just a huge international outcry. You know, at the UN, all the freaking international governments, the G7, G8, G5, G20, G everything, right? Okay, all flipping their shit, hair on fire, right? The Canadian government offered military equipment and logistical support. So soldiers, planes, helicopters, right? Computers, radar, right? Everything they had. The Canadian military basically said, hey, Nigeria, if you want any of this, we're happy to provide it for you to bring back those 273 girls. The US did the same. The UK did the same. The UN, I think they had like 18,000 resolutions about it, you know, where they voted on like, ooh, we officially condemn Boko Haram. Yes, we extend our condemnation of Boko Haram, right? Mm-hmm. You know, the next day, right?
Well, essentially what she's saying is that we think that only the Chiba girls were the ones who had been kidnapped. So apparently other girls were kidnapped?
No.
Okay.
Not to anybody's knowledge. No.
Not to anybody's knowledge. Okay,
well, I mean, there were probably a few girls like individually snatched from villages and stuff, but none in terms of the school attacks. No.
Okay, so what's going on is you got thousands, tens of thousands of boys, potentially 10,000 boys. I shouldn't say tens of thousands.
A little bit more than 10,000, yeah.
A little bit more than 10,000, and a couple hundred girls. And of course, everybody focuses on the girls and basically ignores the boys. And the overall point is that we do that, but that's an anti-feminist point. So essentially, that reveals that feminism itself is about maintaining women's victimhood. Therefore,
the monopoly on victimhood.
Yeah, to be perceived as the biggest victim in order to further maintain the view of our society as being anti-woman and constructed for the benefit of men at the expense of women. So,
yeah, no, and it's like she basically said to me something along the lines of, Well, the only reason you care about those, you don't really care about those boys. The only reason you pretend to care is so that you can use it as a cudgel to attack feminism and therefore victimize women. But I'm not totally not reinforcing a female monopoly on victimhood by saying this.
That's the thing. She just revealed it. She just revealed that it's anti-feminist to simply
I don't usually use GIFs, but I've seen that GIF. Congratulations, you played yourself, and I just had to use it.
Yeah, right? But the overall point of all of this and the conversation that we're having with this particular feminist on Twitter is that she keeps proving, one, that it's anti-feminist to point out issues that men face and victimhood that men and boys face. And I would actually say it's non-feminist. It's just existing outside the notion.
Reality.
Yeah, and it's also reality. But it's anti-feminist to do that. So to correctly situate the victimhood of men in reality is anti-feminist. And also to question the role of women as damsels or people who continuously push women into the role of being the biggest victim. That's also anti-feminist. But somehow feminists are not making women into victims. I think that this conversation, this debate is going to become relevant. I have a suspicion that it is going to become relevant to what we are about to watch.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Just as relevant as she's like kidnapped. We got bigger fish to fry. Like how air conditioning is sexist against women. It's infuriating. Think of all the hundreds of thousands of women with office jobs dealing with sexist air conditioning. They feel a little chilly. And they don't want to put on a sweater because it would ruin the lines of their outfit.
If you want to be even more feisty, you can also say something like, yes, let's pay attention to all of the women in the third, or the girls in the third world who are not in school, but ignore all of the boys who are on the street.
Yeah, or not in school, or maybe working in a ship-breaking yard, or in a cobalt mine, Yeah, they're not in school because they're like child laborers.
Yeah, or on the street. Okay. Well, but the thing is that we look at that and they say, well, there are more boys in school. Well, there is a greater pressure on boys to actually provide for their families. So, give them a break. They're trying to actually, and if they don't provide for their families, they're on the street.
Oh, okay? Man. Look at that fucking Stephen Colbert put out a fundraising video for, get girls back in school, right? And he's like, 58 million girls worldwide are not in school, donate to help get the girls back in the classroom. Yeah, it wasn't 58 million girls. It was 31 million girls and 27 million boys. And so they didn't just erase the boys, they gave them a sex change. Okay? And he literally linked to the UNESCO report that, that had all of the data in it in the, information section of his video, right? He linked to that report. And was I the only one who went and looked? I went and looked because I was thinking, well, did they only look at girls, and what's the number for boys? I didn't realize that they'd actually taken the 58 million children of elementary school age and turned them all into girls, even though 27 million of them were boys. Until I read the report. So, I read the report was honest. Stephen Colbert was not.
All right. Okay, so I want to remind everyone who has tuned in that we are doing our fundraiser, our monthly fundraiser, and we do have a ways to go. So please go to feedthebadger.com/support. I know it's a little slow because it is the holidays, but any amount that you can put in will really help to make sure that we can continue to send this message. And that message is, men are victims too. They suffer too. They're vulnerable too. And there's a lot of pushback against that message. Let's say that. So once again, that's feedthebadger.com/support. And also, I mean, to be honest, I think it's really important to talk about this because men are also responsible for the majority of the running of our society. So if we don't tend to their issues, we're not going to have much of a society eventually.
It's all going to be Southwest Airlines. Everywhere, all the time.
Everywhere, all the time. Yeah, okay. All right, let's go to the first time code and take a look. I'll do some arm twisting at like the hour.
Yeah, no, so you got Watson and you got Just Pearly Things. I saw a very brief clip of oh God, what's her first name? Watson. Sydney Watson. Yeah, okay. So very brief clip of Sydney Watson on Twitter that was posted, and I noticed that Just Pearly Things was sitting there, kind of wanting to burst out laughing, because Sydney Watson was basically just calling them on their bullshit. That's just like, So I was thinking about looking at this.
We're looking at it now.
Okay. Yeah, no. Let's watch that.
Womanist, as a Black feminist, right, as someone who's really thinking about human rights, dignity, right, equity, right, as long as that need isn't met.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear
it. We're still gonna keep fighting.
I'd say it's alive.
Maybe it's a little too low. You could try putting it up. All right.
Seems fine to me.
While you're working on that, All right.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh. All right. Okay, well then if I can continue, I will just remind people once again, feedthebadger.com/support to help us out, to make sure that we can continue to do this.
Test. Okay.
That we're doing. Yeah, you're fine. And every little bit helps. I know that sometimes people feel like, only $5 or $10, but every bit helps make sure that we're able to continue to do this work.
Yeah.
And I believe that this stuff, what we do, is very unique. It's a little bit riven with technical difficulties, shall we say, but I think that our message is ultimately the message that people need to hear, because it is the one that they have refused to hear for the longest time. And that's generally what ends up biting people in the ass, is the thing that they refuse to look at, or talk about, or think about. And that thing definitely is men's issues. I don't think there's anything more in our society plagued with denial and refusal to look at it, willful ignorance, and open censorship. I mean, everything started with men's issues, really. I mean, and now we're looking at other things that are being openly censored.
Yeah.
It all started there. That was the original gangster of issues that were censored. And then it sort of, OG, and it just sort of rolled downhill from there. Okay, let's
all right, I'm back.
And I'm surprised at the level of censorship. It's like, no men's rights activist, no men's issues advocate has ever been surprised by what's happening now.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, yeah, it eventually was going to come down to you guys. All right, let's do it.
Let's continue. Did you guys hear the message or like the clip that I played? You probably did hear that, right?
I did.
Yeah, I don't think. I
heard it.
I'd say that it's also very nuanced, and I think what it looks like is going to differ depending on where you are in the world. For me, I just see it as a lens, which isn't necessarily antagonistic or protagonistic. It's just a useful tool.
Similar to what Pearl just said, I find that...
Do you want me to pause it?
Yeah.
Did you want to say something about that? It's not antagonistic or protagonistic?
I consider it a lens. You realize that it's just a useful tool. Well, what is it magnifying and what is it minimizing?
Well, it's not magnifying and minimizing, it's filtering.
Yeah.
It's a lens that filters out certain colors of light.
Yeah.
I actually think that she's being more honest than she probably would have liked to have been about what that is, because I think
because they just want to say it's advocacy for women's rights. They don't want to say it's like an entire ideological construction, right? And a belief system and all of that. They don't want, a description as well as a prescription. The prescription is equality for women. The description is here's what the world actually is.
Yeah.
And they don't want to take ownership. Like they'll alternate constantly, right? Oh, well, but it's only descriptive. It's not prescriptive. Oh, but it's only prescriptive. It's not descriptive. And it's like they just shift positions constantly. It's very nuanced, yes. Very highly nuanced.
I think I figured out their definition, like the definition for nuance that they're using.
Internal inconsistency?
No, lie.
Yeah.
Delusional self-deception.
You want to go with the overly simplistic definition.
Yeah, but it's okay. So you're using a lens, and again, once she brings up the idea of a lens, you have to ask yourself, what is it filtering? Or what I brought up, what is it magnifying and what is it minimizing? Because that's really critical to understand what the lens is. Like, and I'm not sure if anybody called her out on that. This is edited, of course. So
it is. Sydney said that they spoke for 6 hours or something, and so yeah, it's pretty edited. It's Vice.
6 hours down into like 43.
I know. I don't know, into like 40 exactly, and even those you can see where there's like obvious cuts and stuff. So.
Okay, so the only two people here who I'm guessing are non-feminist is Sydney
and Pearl.
Pearl. And Pearl's on the left here.
She's wearing the lavender.
She's the redhead with the lavender sweater.
Yeah,
and
in the back row.
She's got a podcast. It's a little bit more red pill than men's rights.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more like are the red pill than it is like are men's rights.
Yeah.
But she's pretty good. I mean, she's pretty good at like actually just confronting uncomfortable topics and making her guests also confront those topics and those situations.
She's like a pit bull. She like drills down on like the one point she's trying to make, and if the women try to escape that, she won't let them. So like I like her. She's also got a cool like kind of hood appeal, I guess, if that makes sense. So like hood appeal, yeah. Like so she talks to people like myself, like people that come from like the I guess you could say the from the projects, the streets, right? She's from the streets, city. Yeah, and that is very useful because obviously the problems with things like single motherhood and whatnot are really big there. So It's one of the things about Pearly that I like is that she speaks to those people, and I think that she's waking, a lot of people up.
Yeah, so, she doesn't give women any kind of pass. Maybe you should have chosen a different baby daddy. How about that? Instead of blaming the man that you chose to sire your child for not being perfect when you knew he wasn't perfect. You didn't even maybe know him at all when you laid down with him. Instead of blaming that, maybe, it kind of reminds me like when she's doing her podcast talking to women, right? Particularly inner city women, women from the hood, I guess, right? She reminds me of, you remember when Tommy Sotomayor was on that panel with that black woman who was like, and he's just like, oh, fuck, God, how can she be here and still not realize that, like, she was the architect of her own undoing. Mm-hmm. She is the reason why she has all these problems. Mm-hmm. And she's the reason, her choices are the reason why her kids are going to have problems. Yep. And you can't complain now, right? Well, I had 3 kids by 3 different dads and they were all born out of wedlock, and but I did things right because I held down a job. And it's like, well, okay, but you have to acknowledge that you didn't do things right. You took your mistake and you made the best of it, right?
Yeah.
But you can't excuse your mistake. Mm-hmm. Like, and he was just burying his face in his hands. He looked like my mom whenever I call her and say, yeah, I just talked to my sister, and then I can hear her pinching the bridge of her nose over the phone, right? Oh, what is it this time? Right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, it's anyway.
All right, let's keep going.
It's just a useful tool.
Similar to what Pearl just said, I find that a lot of feminist ideology and thought today feels more of like a supremacist movement rather than something that is supposed to be advancing the goals of equality. I don't think that we can really term what's going on as feminism because it looks so different to, I think, the earlier feminist movements. So in that way, I would say it's taken its last breaths of life. It's dying.
Yeah, I definitely think it's getting more and more radicalized, for sure. So it's definitely still alive.
I don't like some of these women. I'm not really sure what side they're on. I don't know if they're supposed to be on a side or what, but. All right.
I'll preface and say that I don't know so much about modern Western feminism and their.
Oh my God, this woman here is so annoying. I just have to say this.
She's are you talking about her
Yelda?
Vest?
No. Just Yelda Ali. Well, you just listen to the language that she uses. Okay.
There might be a lot of terms that I don't know, like political jargon and stuff. But I believe in the advancement of women, whoever considers themselves a woman. I think there's a deficiency in society. So it's deeply rooted that feminism has always existed. I think America's a little obsessed with themselves, and it's like always feminism is rooted in America. And like, oh, white women started it. And it's kind of offensive because.
See, so she's like going on this anti-America.
Yeah, no, you know who started feminism? Muhammad. He gave women rights. That's why Islam is and Islamic countries are like so advanced.
I think honestly, she is a Muslim.
Yeah,
but she's a very politically aggressive, anti-capitalist Muslim. So I don't know if that's normal. She just hates America. She just hates the West. And I'm not saying that to be judgmental. I mean, that's literally what's coming out of her mouth if you watch the whole video. And you're like, what are you doing here? Like, this is not useful. We're talking about men and women and feminism, right? So
yeah, well,
for thousands of years, women.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say, like, Sydney Watson, saying, this most recent iteration of feminism is toxic, unlike the other ones.
We know.
And I'm just like, yeah, no, go read my article. Feminism was never not rotten.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Watch some Janice Fiamengo. She's gone into like the history and everything. There's no.
Yeah, all the way back to like the late 1700s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well.
All right. Let's keep going.
And like, oh, white women started it. And it's kind of offensive because for thousands of years, women have been dying for their rights.
I think as a Black woman specifically, when you talk about feminism, the mainstream first thing you think about is a certain type of feminism that tends to exclude still, even today, even with intersectional feminism, exclude African-American women. And it's always kind of done that.
It's kind of exhausting. So like all of these women they're not even talking about feminism as like a core, idea, which is what this is supposed to be about.
What they're doing.
They're just adding their intersectional stuff to it.
Yeah, they're saying like, okay, so you got Sydney Watson and Pearl, basically saying, feminism is bullshit, top to bottom, side to side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Inside out, everything, right? And then you have every one of these women saying, well, feminism is bullshit because it doesn't recognize my unique way of being victimized, as a Muslim or as a Black woman, right? Or as the mother or daughter or sister of a Black man.
Could we possibly more be watching a bunch of women fighting
self-obsessed?
No, just self-obsessed. But fighting, jockeying over turf.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of armed warlords who don't want to necessarily start a fight, but they definitely want to annex Iberia. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like this is what this is. They're like, okay, well, I'm going to stake out my turf. These are my victimhoods. They are superior to your victimhoods. But they don't want to come out and say that, right? Because going out and saying it might start an actual fight.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just going to jockey.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to undermine. They're going to do passive aggression. They're going to do a little bit of sable rattling, but then pull back and be like, no, you can take that stream. This is all we're watching here is women wrestling over turf.
Yeah.
And something to do with men.
So that's kind of the reason why I skipped this section, but
it's probably a good idea. It doesn't seem like it's
let's get to but Pearly does respond to this, and I thought that was kind of awesome. So
Yep. Yeah, see, I disagree with that. I think life is easier if you're a girl. Actually, I think there's a lot of benefits that men don't have. I'm not going to speak anything to race. I'm just talking about gender specifically. It's usually like an excuse. Like, honestly, I think as a girl, you have equal opportunity in the world. I think there's benefits. Like, for example, we have quotas for women in specific jobs.
Oh my God, look at the expression on her face.
I know all that. So that woman, this is what Vice did, right? They got diverse women. They got like a disabled woman, that's the woman that was making that face. She's in like a wheelchair. She's got no legs, it looks like. And they got a, Black woman. They got a Latina woman. They got a Muslim woman, and they're all varying.
And the anti-feminist ones are just white.
Yeah, and the two anti-feminist women, the only ones, they're just white.
And one of them is super white because she's ginger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's like she's like the top tier white.
Yeah, they got a mix, but the funny thing is that like they can't really like that. None of that matters because they don't have the arguments. So, all right, but anyway, Pearly.
that are given to us that aren't given to men. So yeah, I would say it's easier being a girl.
Just from a viewpoint over here, though, it seems there's a lot of privilege, privilege in what you're saying, and that you're
all right, stop.
Yeah.
Pretty privilege. Well, I mean, she's cute.
Well, there is such a thing as...
Yeah, there is, but I wouldn't, like... and I don't mean to be rude, but I wouldn't say that Pearly is...
No, Pearly is mid. And she knows that, and she's okay with it, so...
She's not, like, and I'm not going to say, I'm not going to go out and say supermodel, no, but I'm saying that...
She's a solid 6, is what you're saying.
She's not... She's not going to be... She gets what they call common beauties. And I don't think that the woman in the wheelchair is ugly enough to really say that she's being hit by that.
Yeah, well, this is really petty anyways. Like,
it is petty.
It doesn't actually, like, address her point, you know?
It doesn't address her point, but let me point something else out.
All right.
Now we're getting into the fighting. Like, this is what everybody probably was trying to avoid.
The claws come out.
Now the claws come out because she's attacking Pearly's social standing. She's saying, you don't have the right to an opinion because you are more privileged. Therefore, you will be silent. So this is actually a battle going on over whatever ridiculous resource these women think they're fighting over. It's not going to be, incidentally, if you're drawn into these kind of fights, ladies, you're not going to have much resources you're going to be fighting over soon. So, it's going to be an interesting world when that happens. But regardless, she's got her claws out. She's getting the sucker punch in, which is, no, you are privileged, therefore you can't speak to this. Okay? And, I mean, this is how these organizing line trough, basically, is you have this victimhood, you go first, then you second, and she's essentially kicking Pearly out of the line of the trough.
Or trying to, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that Pearly's not even playing.
No.
This isn't about resources or resource acquisition or a tool to get resources, which is what these women are using their victimhood for, is a tool to get resources, either physical resources or simply the resource of being listened to and being put on top of the social hierarchy as your point of view is privileged, so they get the top of the stack. That's what they're fighting over. Yeah. That's not the game that Pearly's playing. Pearly is playing the game of let's have a functional society, probably.
Yeah. She doesn't have the same
She's probably more systemic thinker. She probably can extrapolate women's actions. Like if they start too many women take these actions, we will no longer have a functional society. So she's probably on the level of philosophy and logic. That's not the level these women are at. You got to think more baboons around a fruit tree.
All right, let's keep going.
Do you think I'm pretty? Thank you.
I think that you present in a way that beauty standards have accepted. And so
they call me ugly on the internet all the time. They be roasting me daily, I swear to God.
I don't mean to say I think you're gorge. I just mean that there's a certain value that we give to certain bodies.
I mean, let's also dig into why these quotas exist.
The ones with legs.
Pearly is, okay, I've looked at her. She does not have the ideal waist to hip ratio. She does not have big bazoombas.
No.
Right? No. She's very wide across the shoulders, wide across the back, wide across the waist, flat bum. Okay? She is not the ideal figure. She, not even for, like, as a young woman, right? She does not have it's not even about nice legs, shame about the face, right? Like she's average. She's average. She does not have anything other than her intellect that gives her any kind of social cachet.
Yeah, and honestly, if the woman in the wheelchair probably have a better figure, judging from how she distributes.
She could, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least better waist to hip ratio. right?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of guys who like them thick, right? So
yeah. Well, I mean, even that, it's like, yeah, and I mean, there are a very vanishing few men who would look like a woman. And honestly, I have the same body type, so I can say this. There are a tiny minority of men who might find this kind of body type attractive. You know, if you find one, keep them. But there probably are more men who find fat women attractive than men who find women who look like.
Well, it depends on the type of fat, right? If you're like a tomato on toothpicks, men not so much into that, right?
Yeah,
but if you still have that, you know, go in from the shoulder into the waist and then out again at the hips, if you still have that, right, then you know you can be pretty voluptuous and still attract a man.
Yeah. But yeah, it's totally unfair what she's saying here.
Especially if you got the
bazooms. Particular body type that has privilege. No. And she doesn't understand it, because if you're a woman with broad shoulders and a broad chest, there ain't nothing you can do about it. That woman could lose 50 pounds and she'd probably attract many men. She probably attracts men now. But like if you have that body type, that you're fucked. You're just fucked. You're like a short man.
Yeah. No, and you know, since I went through menopause, I've like I don't even look at myself in the mirror, because I'm just like, oh, waist is getting thicker, ass is getting smaller, all my fat's climbing uphill, right, to distribute itself where I don't want it, and then I'm losing fat in my face, so I look older, and like I've aged like 15 years in 3. It's lovely. It's wonderful. Even makeup can't help me anymore. And I'm just like, but you know, on the other hand, like, why do I care? I had a good run, and I'm with somebody who's committed to me, and he's committed to me for something other than my looks. Several things other than my looks. So,
which is really hilarious, because all of these women could knock this shit off and find a man who would be committed to them for something other than their looks, if they had something other than their looks.
Or if they were willing to settle for a man who, and this is one of the double standards, right? And I saw it constantly in the romance and erotica writing industry. You had this thing called BBW, Big Beautiful Woman genre, right? Okay, so the guy always looks like Brad Pitt, you know, or the dude who played Thor, right? And the woman is chubby, and he just falls in love with her because, you know, it's never a chubby man, right? The man is always still like
totally shredded.
Yeah, could be the model on the romance novel cover is like Fabio during his prime. Right, and she's like some pudgy freaking girl with glasses, and he just falls head over heels for her, and I'm just like, no, maybe you should consider dating if you're pudgy, consider dating a pudgy guy.
Yeah, although having said that, I have seen that happen.
Like there are women who live in reality.
No, but I have seen, you know, like you know, the good-looking guy with the pudgier woman. I don't know if it's a situation where she just gained weight after having children or something, but
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Who you might remember, he played James Bond in the 90s.
Remington Steele in the 80s.
Yeah, Remington Steele. And his wife, so he's one of those rare examples of a Hollywood, you know, celebrity guy who found a woman, fell in love, married her, and they never got divorced. And she is an overweight, pudgy woman. Nobody knows who she is exactly. But he loves her, and so there's really nothing you can say. It's just like, yeah, I'm happy for you, you know? So
wasn't Sean Connery kind of the same, you know, like,
I don't know, maybe.
And you know, I think Tom Hanks, similar, didn't marry a celebrity, married some like random school teacher or some shit. And you know, like, so.
You know, that might, I mean, I don't know, but that doesn't sound completely insane, so.
The person that they're accusing Johnny Depp of dating now just looks like a normal, I think she's a lawyer, or the lawyer he had.
Yeah.
In the UK. Just looks normal. Like, she's not unattractive, but she's not Hollywood.
Something's going on, though. Something suspicious.
Yeah, I know. He's dating. Oh my God, how dare? Hey.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know, like Amber might have been trafficking underage girls, but he's dating. How dare? She's not even 40. Ugh, whatever. But the overall point, I think, is that I think she's exaggerating look privilege.
Oh, for sure. She's just trying to shut her up.
Yeah, she's just trying to shut her up. And if anything, the only privilege that, and it's not really a privilege, is apparently Pearlie can stop eating at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can push herself away from the supper table. Has a little bit of discipline in terms of what she puts in her mouth. You know, that's about it.
No. Sorry, I was just distracted by my son.
Yeah, yeah. Well, essentially, I was saying that the only privilege that this other woman, aside from the obvious, which is not what we're talking about, which is the physical disability, the only other privilege that she necessarily has is the ability to stop eating at a step quicker or sooner than the woman who's now complaining. That's it. Like,
okay.
You know, and I know the pain of having the body type. You got two modes: bony or muscular, or fat, and that's it.
Yeah.
All right, let's play more of this.
Let's also dig into why these quotas exist and why these what you're calling
because
privileges
we want
exist.
Special treatment.
No, but it's because they're historically and presently in those jobs.
I can't. What did?
Should I go back a little bit?
Yes, go back a little bit. I'm gonna just really get in here.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Are you still fighting with people on Twitter? Am I just
No, I'm not fighting with people.
Stop being distracted, Allison, and watch the video.
Okay, yes. I'm not fighting with anyone.
I swear to God.
I don't mean to say I think you're gorge. I just mean that there's a certain value that we give to certain bodies.
I mean, let's also dig into why these quotas exist and why these what you're calling
because
privileges
we want
exist.
Special treatment.
No, but it's because they have historically.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I know. This is why I love her. Because we want special treatment.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I can't believe that she came out swinging with the. No offense, but Pearlie is definitely like she. Why would she even go there?
Because she's right.
Why would who even go there, Pearlie?
Right, but why would she even attack Pearlie based on being? I'm sorry. It's just frustrating because this is all just like I said.
Yeah, no. You like this woman thinks like I gotcha. Here's why quotas exist, and Pearlie's just like, nah, it's because women want special treatment.
Yeah,
and that's exactly why. It's because women can get it. It's why women were the only group. Black men had to fight in war before they even thought to ask for the vote. Japanese men had to conceived of serving their society before they asked for equal treatment. You know, Native men, every single group of men who was disenfranchised, including originally all poor white guys, had to fight first or serve first before they even thought to ask for a say in society. Women didn't. If women had the same standards applied to them, they would have had to fight a world war first. They would have had to be in the trenches first and then said, hey, we just fought for our society. You think we can have a say in it now? No, that's not what women had to do. And being nurses is nothing compared to that. You know, there wasn't a high casualty rate of nurses in any of the wars.
Yeah.
There's like a dozen who died. So no, it's nothing comparable. It's not comparable at all. Women never had to put the time in that men had to prior to even asking for a say. That's special treatment, and it's right there in the central issue that feminists talk about, which is the vote. that women got for themselves a deal no group of men ever in human history. And incidentally, those men who were franchised, who had a say in society, they had to go out and they had to fight. Always. Like aristocratic men, they died at younger ages than any other man in society. Because what were they doing? They were out there swinging a damn sword. What do you think that results in? High rates of death. Okay? And they had to say, because they went out there and they put their bodies on the line for that say. Period. That has been the case for every group of men, every group of people enfranchised to have a say in society, in the general, the outside of society. Women always had a say in society. But the more political end of society, the legal, the war end of society, they always had to have serve first, then ask. Then women came along, and what happened? Not only did they not have to serve first, they didn't have to serve at all, and still don't, in order to have a say. That is special treatment. That is women right now in the West, in every country that they have a vote, even those countries where they're conscripted because they're usually expected to do the same jobs or put themselves on the line as men, they are first-class citizens by definition, and men are second-class citizens by definition, by the very definition of what first and second-class citizen means. So yes, you want special treatment, and not only do women want, they can get it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
And presently, in most jobs, been fewer women.
All right. I just want to share some info that I didn't have. Why do these women have the charisma
of a turnip?
I don't know, but this person with the white hair is a trans activist. And do you know this is the same trans activist that distributed cross-sex hormone drugs to underage kids, and she advertised it on Twitter. I think it was on Twitter. No, on TikTok.
Okay. She's not male to female.
She is. Yes. She is male to female. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, guaranteed. Look at that brow ridge. That's male.
Yeah, she is male to female. But I wanted to. I think there might be another trans person on the panel, but I don't know for sure.
I mean, is there a category for people like me? I just don't.
You just don't what?
You don't notice?
Care. I don't really care.
Well, look,
I don't care.
I know the trans thing isn't super important, but like.
No. What I mean is a category for a person who's like, I don't care what I.
Right.
Because I don't care.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's plenty of that, I think.
But it's not a trans category. It should be. It should be the trans care.
Yeah, right.
Trans don't give a fuck.
Well, my point is that I thought that
sus.
This person is super sus, but beyond that, I would have thought that if you were essentially offering to give people who shouldn't, have access to gender, transition,
access
hormones,
to prescription drugs not prescribed by a doctor.
Right.
Yeah?
That would be, I would think that would be a legal issue. And I'm trying to figure out how you're on this panel. Unless this was recorded like a long time ago, but that's what I was thinking about. So I just thought this person, her name is, and I don't have a problem using your appropriate name or whatever. Eli Elric. That's the name of this person. So I just thought I would let you guys know in case you saw her on this panel and thought, man, she looks kind of familiar. That's Eli Elric. She, known for this viral TikTok thing. But anywho, let's, I guess, do you want to check how are we doing?
Yes, you're right. I should. And we got some thank yous to give. So before I get into that, once again, we are very appreciated if you would help out if you could. It is at feedthebadger.com/support. $5, $10, every bit helps. And I think that we are, what we talk about is really critical. We are an absolutely uncompromising, concern for men's issues and welfare, and expecting women to take responsibility. You know what? It's take responsibility for advocating for men's issues, but also take responsibility for the society that has thus far been constructed in response to women wanting special privileges. But anyway, if you would like to make sure that we can continue to talk about these things, go to feedthebadger.com/support, and I have some thank yous to give. I would like to thank Perturb for $50. Thank you, Perturb.
Thank you, Perturb.
I'm not perturbed by that.
No, we are not perturbed by you, Perturb. Are you doing like a?
I can't because the sound. Yeah, I'm. There was a power. The other. Spoon. Yeah, Spoon. The other day, there was a massive, super cold Arctic, whatever it was, that swept through.
Oh, don't even fucking complain about it.
I know, but it was cold to
us. You don't even fucking know that shit. We warmed it up. It came straight from Alaska. We warmed it up for you before we send it down your way.
That's why it smells suspiciously of Karen's butt cheeks.
It knocked out. It knocked out my electricity, like our power, like all over Roanoke.
Oh, because you fucking, like, don't you know how to survive down there?
Apparently no. And I lost my internet. And then when I didn't get it back until like the next day, and when I did, and I started turning everything back on, my audio settings were just completely just fucked. So I gotta do them from the ground up, and it takes a while. So yeah, no sound effects today, guys. I'm sorry.
All right, I'll do some sound effects. Foyo! Perturb.
Oh my god, that's one of Jonathan's favorite YouTubers too.
Uncle Roger?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Uncle Roger.
All right, so Health Potion Addict gives us $250. Thank you.
Woo-hoo! Thank you, Health Potion Addict. Really appreciate that.
That's some MSG right there.
Yeah.
Oh, king of flavor.
Yeah. Meredith G.
My favorite white powder.
Meredith G gives us $100. Thank you, Meredith G.
Thank you, Meredith.
That's very generous. Thank you.
Yes, it is very generous. And once again, feedthebadger.com support. If you guys need some arm twisting, I'll do it in maybe half an hour or 22 minutes.
22 minutes.
This hour has 22 minutes?
Yeah.
So nobody got that. Come on, you're Canadian, Karen. You got that.
Yeah, I just don't think they're funny.
You don't think this hour's 22 minutes is funny?
Oh, they were funny back in the 90s.
What about the skit they did about the Emergency Act?
Like, I have TV.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't beam it into your cave.
I have a TV. I just don't have TV.
Yeah, well, I think that's true of basically everybody that's...
And CBC is notorious for, like, just basically licking Trudeau's...
bumhole?
Chocolate starfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chocolate starfish.
All right.
I'm sure he waxes and has it polished, Karen. So probably it's probably an off-tope. You might even bleach his taint.
Since we're on the topic of buttholes, I saw something horrifying this morning, on Salty Crackers channel. And I would advise people to, if they want to go and look and see what he uploaded this morning, do so on an empty stomach with some Pepto-Bismol on hand, because
avoid it completely, honestly.
Honestly, I think it has to do with buttholes. It has to do with taints. It has to do with...
If it's made you nauseous, like,
It didn't make me nauseous. It kind of made me slightly horrified. Like, there are people who actually do this. I mean, it's...
God.
Is this worse than perineum sunning?
Oh, yeah. No, 100 times. 100 times worse.
Perineum
and
sunning?
a recipe for a yeast infection, too.
Okay. So the perineum sunning plus the foot holding that I saw. All these men, with their legs spread open, holding each other's feet.
Okay, that's just cringe. Okay,
Yeah,
this is some kind of weird freaking autogynephilia fetishism. I'm sorry, but
okay, you know what? I'm good.
I spent my entire adult life trying to figure out a way to not have a period. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Something about.
I feel like my brain is spiraling.
V8.
Yeah. V8. Yes. I didn't see it, but I saw the the video link, and I was like, I'm not clicking on that. I'm surprised that. Well, anyway, that's all I'm going to say. Shall we continue?
He's just reading and commenting on what people are putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
They can't take his channel down for that.
Mm-hmm. No. True.
And because of sexism.
How is it sexism when we have no barriers today? So we can pick what
no
we want to
barriers?
pick.
It doesn't have barriers.
Women don't have barriers?
Women, yeah. What's
we
stopping
have no
you? You
barriers.
can do whatever you want.
I can or you can?
What's stopping you? As a woman.
That ignores a lot that I'm a woman with a disability. So there's a lot stopping me that you don't.
So, yeah, so
okay, so what does that have to do with feminism? Like, there's nothing stopping you as a woman, it's just you're in a wheelchair. Okay.
That's the sleight of hand, Karen. They're like, well, what does it have to do with you being a woman?
Well, I put chicken and mandarin oranges on this pile of lettuce, so now it's not salad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's like that's
what intersectionality is. We're gonna take patriarchy theory. We're gonna throw all this freaking window dressing, all this garnish on top of it, and we're gonna say it's not salad anymore.
Well, then it's not even what they do is they deflect away from the argument that they can't. Where is the lack of a woman to the argument they can make? I don't have privilege because of this disability, because of my skin color, because of my sex, because of my gender, whatever. You see what they do? So it's always women and minorities.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're trying to bolster an argument that they know they can't make. Like, this woman has just said, you're right, Pearl. You're absolutely 100% right. Now I'm going to prove to you that you're right, that I can't actually reach for a problem because I'm a woman by reaching for a problem that I have as somebody who is disabled.
I think it's funny that you said I can't reach for a problem as a woman about a woman without legs.
She can reach.
She keeps skipping leg day at the gym.
But not arm day.
No. Well, she could.
From the look of her, she's skipping that too. But
all right. Well, let's continue because this gets better.
If you can't make fun of disabled people, who can you make fun of?
Exactly.
Like I'm just, and it's just basically.
I got freaking banned from Twitter for a day for saying that. I think that. Who simultaneously refuse to recognize all the stuff that men do for society and blame men for everything wrong with society are mentally ill. I banned for Twitter for a day for that.
Well, if you're the only worker on the job, right? If you're the only person actually shoveling, then when the shoveling's done wrong, you get the blame.
Yeah, but you also should be recognized as the only one doing the damn shoveling.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right.
Don't have to think about.
Well, as I said before, I'm speaking about women. I'm not.
You're speaking for yourself.
You're speaking as an able-bodied
white woman.
Yeah, but you
represents white.
Of course.
Well, yeah. So this is the same trick, right? It's like, oh, you're trying to make a point about women, but you're speaking. I just
realized something.
You're speaking as an able-bodied white woman.
Yeah. I just realized something. Okay, but everything you're saying. Okay, first of all, I just got a few points. Just bear with me, guys. First of all, everything that Pearl is saying is amplified by the fact that the only thing that she could possibly have a problem is being a woman, right? She's saying, I don't have a problem, and they're all saying, well, you don't have these. And she's like, but yeah, that's my point. I don't have a problem because I'm a woman. Okay, you're referring to all of these problems.
Alison, you're breaking up a lot. Are you moving away from your microphone in some way,
I will
or
get a little bit closer?
Yeah, like try to get right up on there.
They're sort of proving her point. Because they keep appealing to other problems aside from being a woman, and she's saying, I don't have a problem because I'm a woman, and they're like, well, but you're not disabled, you're not black, you're blah blah blah, and that keeps proving her point. Yeah, she doesn't have a problem because, and they're saying that she can't speak to that, but she is the perfect person to speak to that. Because she doesn't have all these other problems. If she has a problem because she's a woman, she can correctly identify that is because, and she's saying, no, I don't. So, and here's the other thing that I've realized. This intersectionality, and why is this woman over here and she's at school? This intersectionality actually ends up silencing women who have nothing but being a woman, because they're on the bottom of the pack, right? So they can't talk, but at the same time, so they can't actually. They're supposed to. When she says, "Oh, I don't have a problem because I'm a woman," she's supposed to be silent because she's on the bottom of the intersectional stack,
progressive stack,
progressive stack. So they don't have to listen to what she's saying. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So they can just silence her. And her entire argument goes away. She doesn't have a problem because she's a woman. It goes away because she's the only one she's the only one there because she's a woman, essentially. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
But now she can't talk to her experience because it's invalidated because she's not above them in their progressive.
Well, if she allows this to happen, if she sticks to her guns and stays on, look, your disability doesn't matter. We're talking about women.
Yeah. We're talking about women.
Yeah, and that's it.
Discrimination against women.
Because she's not working on that same wavelength. But I just find it hilarious. I'm privileged, and they're saying you can't talk about your privilege because you're privileged.
Right. And anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah. Of course there's going to be other barriers if you're disabled, I'm sure. Like I'm talking about as a woman.
So you're just going to ignore
white
the
women
pay
have it
gap.
easier. Yes. I would agree.
What?
You're just going to ignore the pay gap, regulation over bodies.
The pay gap has been proven and debunked.
The pay gap doesn't exist,
my friend.
It doesn't. It's the industries that women pick.
Let's talk about it.
There's a pay gap, but it's because women don't want to do the hardest industries.
I don't think it's that simple. I think that's an oversimplification. I think the fact of the matter is that women structure their lives differently to men. Men don't give birth. Men don't have to carry pregnancies. Men don't have to be the primary caregiver most of the time. Women also don't hold jobs for as long as men do. They often will stop and start. They'll go back into work. They'll take time off. They'll take part-time jobs. The way that men work and women work are astronomically different. And to try to say that they're comparable is where this issue comes from. They're not comparable.
Two things. First of all, let's dig into why they think that they should take these jobs, which is societal sexism, and then.
You mean archetypes about women's roles? I was just informed by my friend on Twitter that those aren't important.
No, they aren't actually cultural artifacts. Mythology and fiction and sort of legends and religion are not cultural artifacts that reflect cultural values. And you, Alison, are stupid to mistake them for cultural artifacts that reflect
I think that this is just
values.
one of those nuances that intend I'm always right, and otherwise, if we were honest about the definition of how they're using it, would just be a lie. But it's
quick, throw in a ball of mud and stir.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, so disingenuous. Okay, all right. So women are the victims of archetypes. Men not victims of archetypes. If we're going to allow that people are victims of archetypes and not stereotypes.
Archetypes, stereotypes doesn't really matter, right? If you don't fit in, right, you're going to have a problem. Whether you're a man or a woman, if you don't fit into those archetypes, those stereotypes, you're going to have a little bit of difficulty. It's just how things go, right? And you can choose between being yourself and, you know, deciding that you're going to go along with, you know, and there's nothing stopping anybody from doing that now. Not since probably the 1970s or 80s, based on male and female stuff, right? Based on gender, right? Nobody's stopping anybody from being their true self, right? I want to be a masculine woman. I want to be an effeminate man, right? I want to, you know, like I want to be a man and, you know, knit, you know, or do beading and make jewelry or whatever. And I'm a woman and I want to, you know, go out and landscape or something, right? Nothing's stopping anyone from doing any of those things. This is one of those things that drives me crazy about, oh, well, you know, it's male gatekeeping of certain jobs. It's like nobody's fucking gatekeeping. The only reason why men gatekeep certain jobs, certain specific physical jobs, right? Like throwing pipe on an oil rig in Fort McMurray, okay, is because they need to know that the person next to them is strong enough to throw pipe and also strong enough to drag them away when some shit falls on their head.
If they're in a trench under fire, that the person next to them will hold out the poopy bag and they can take a shit in it. This is really fucking hilarious to me. I'm like, you realize what soldiers have to do?
And then these fucking feminists are like, oh, they keep women out through harassment and, you know, and like giving them a hard time, giving them the gears. And it's like, how else are you going to test? How else are you going to test whether that person's tough enough to stand next to you in a line of guys with guns walking into enemy territory? Like, how are you going to know that you can count on that person, right?
Yeah, how are you going to know that?
If you can't give them a little bit of a hard time, right, when they're applying for the job. And it's like, okay, yeah. And so what you're saying is, okay, you're in a dangerous job or you're in the military and nobody should be vetted for toughness. In fact, we should eliminate any form of testing for toughness. Okay, because that's an invitation to like utopia, right?
If somebody
a military full of wimps who complain because somebody hurt their feelings.
If you, like, this is what I don't get. If you have, with hazing, how are you going to endure the psychological
of being captured?
But being shot, like just being shot
at, captured.
But here's another thing. Like, here's an anecdote that sort of impacted me. There was I guess Army infantry, which was an integrated unit, and they went on one of those Army Jeep things, and they had a woman, a female soldier, in the cab with them, and they couldn't stop because, you know, they stop and they get killed, right?
Yeah.
And she had to go to the bathroom, and it wasn't even shitting; it was just pissing. And it was like an ordeal where she had to piss in front of these guys, and she was humiliated, and they were upset because it's a woman upset next to them, and that's what happens with guys when women are upset around them. They get upset, and stop this. It's got to end somehow, but there's no way to end it because the problem is that she's in an enclosed space, and pissed in front of two guys. It's like, how did she end up on the front line without addressing that simple problem? Like, you realize that you're in a situation where you are going to have to shit and piss and wipe your cunt in front of a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
And nobody was at any point in the deploying stream of this woman took her aside and said, you got to be able to deal with that psychologically without freaking out your brothers in arms, which is what was happening there.
Yep.
It wasn't just her that was upset. She made the men in the cab with her upset because she was upset. And that's the way normal men respond to an upset woman is, I got to end this somehow.
Yeah. Got to relieve her upset. And
I got to relieve her upset. And there was no way to do it because they couldn't stop because they were in a hostile situation.
Yeah.
But that happens because nobody actually thinks about the reality, the psychological reality of going into battle and what women need to be able to handle in order to do it.
Everybody thinks, right? Women in the military, women in combat roles, they're all going to be Vasquez from Aliens. They're all going to be Vasquez, right? They're all going to be able to, like, take the ribbing just as good as any man, give it back just as good as she got. You know, she's got the arms, she can do the pull-ups, right? She's, like, seriously, like, ripped.
They would be able to do that.
Holds the biggest freaking weapon, right? You know, tells Gorman, you know, I fucking hate you, Gorman, and pulls the pin on the grenade and blows both of them up to save everybody else, you know, and that is, right? That is what everybody thinks women in the military would be like. And I think that is an ideal. If you're going to be a woman in the military, you should probably be like Vasquez, right? But that's not what women in the military are like. They're like, oh no, that guy called me ma'am, and it seems disrespectful. You know, like they're literally getting rid of gendered terms in the Marines right now. The U.S. Marines, right? No more sir, no more ma'am. You have to address the person by their title, sergeant, colonel, whatever, right? But I'm thinking, you know, like I don't know a whole lot about the military, but one of the things that I do know is that when you're addressing a superior officer, if you address him by his title, right? Yes, colonel. Yes, sergeant. Yes, lieutenant. Okay? That's actually a diss.
Yeah.
That's actually you not acknowledging him as, you know, you're just my superior. No, I'm gonna state your title. I'm gonna be as formal as possible. It's like a mother yelling,
your full name?
Darren Scott McKenzie, you get your ass in here right now. Right? When you add the middle name and the last name, right? Then you know, like you're like it's literally the formalization of the full name, right? The formalization of all of that. The actual explicit title rather than just sir or ma'am means that you don't like them. Means that you don't like them. Maybe you'll like them tomorrow, but you don't like them right now. Right? It means you're pissed at them. And like they're basically turning the Marines into a version of that because you're not allowed to say sir or ma'am anymore. Sir or ma'am is friendly. Yes, sergeant or yes, colonel is unfriendly. It's antagonistic.
I wonder what they.
It's still proper, but it's antagonistic.
But with enlisted, you can't really call sir. So, I guess it's just Sarge.
Yes, sergeant. Oh, sergeant. Yeah. Gunny. Okay. You know.
Okay.
Or no, you'd say gunnery sergeant. You'd save gunny for somebody that you actually liked.
Okay. Thank you for that. I just, like I said, I can't like, how did that woman end up on that situation? And nobody stopped her at any point along the road to that point and said, you know, I mean, why don't even they do it? They can't do it. Would have all kinds of lawsuits to be just able to say, you're going to have to shit and piss in front of each other, and you're going to have to deal with yourself on your period in front of your fellow male soldiers. If you can't handle that, don't get involved in this.
Yeah, you're going to have to take out your Diva cup and rinse it out and put it back in.
Front of men. And they may have an opinion on it, and you're also going to have to deal with that too.
They're probably not going to have an opinion on it. If you just kind of be discreet about it, go off to the side when you can, and do all of that, the men aren't going to have an opinion either way. But it's like, if you act like, oh my God, this is the most terrible thing that's ever happened to me, it's like, bitch, you could be getting shot at now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think women, because we live so safely ensconced in the center of society, we think like the worst thing. First of all, our threat response is ridiculous for a lot of women.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like, if he's barking in your face, he's probably not gonna attack you. Like, and most women don't realize that you need to be scared of the guy who's not saying anything, and he really shouldn't be scared of any. He's probably just shy. But but that's the thing. There's so many women who seem to have such a high threat response, but they don't do things like learn what it actually feels like to have somebody impose themselves on you physically in a safe environment, like sparring.
Yeah.
And then you can pick up when it happens in a situation where you haven't consented to it. All right, let's continue with
All right.
Yeah, this trans person who
from the 80s
thinks she's a woman.
Then also, Department of Labor, all statistics, at least speaking in the U.S., have found that when compared for the same jobs, there still is a pay gap, particularly when it pertains to race.
Because 60% of women have never asked for a raise. So how can you complain about your pay if you don't ask?
Why are they not asking? What happens when women ask for a raise?
Sorry, I've been wanting to say something, but I want to be respectful.
All right.
Oh, it's not. No, Pearlie's like, she's doing too much. She's atomizing the arguments too much, right? It's not because 60% of women haven't asked for a raise. It's because women work fewer hours. Like, my husband is dealing with a situation where he had to wrestle his team lead's monopoly over on call from the dude's kung fu grip for the rest of the team. So it's like team of like half dozen people, and there's one guy, and for the last however many years, he just does all the on call. So you get a straight on call, every day of on call, you get a fixed rate, and then if you're called, you get pay for every hour. And if your call bleeds into the start of your next shift, you get double time for every hour on call. And so, this guy was just milking it. He was just raking it in, right? All this money. And my husband was just like, no. The rest of us get to do on call too. Right? Like, you don't get to hog all the on-call, because there's like literally 2 calls per month, right? That you might be woken up in the middle of the night or something. You have to be available all the time, but you might be woken up in the middle of the night twice a month, right? That's just gravy for you. And you're hogging it all. And no, not going to stand for it, right? And we're gonna distribute the on-call work among everybody in the group, and you can go fuck yourself, right? And but you look at somebody like that, right, who's like, the women in the group were like, oh, well, I don't have to do on call, right? You had one man in the group monopolizing all the on call time, probably added $50,000 a year to his earnings just with on call.
This also illustrates another thing. I don't know why feminists are so convinced that, or don't
money
realize,
is the only thing important.
well, not just the money is the only thing important, but how valuable it is to have men who are around you and aren't asked. I know that a lot of feminist women don't know what it's like to be around men who aren't because they're around feminist men.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, it's actually quite nice because they'll do things like Karen's husband. They'll talk up and they'll say, hey, this isn't fair for everyone here.
Yeah,
you know?
including the women.
Including the women. You know, and they'll do things like that. And they won't even to put their penis inside you for it, like a feminist man would.
Well, you know, he might not put his penis inside you, but he would probably roofie you and jerk off on your face. Just saying.
We're being a little harsh. There's probably some decent.
No, I don't think there are any decent feminist men, but there are probably some non-criminal feminist men.
I do feel sorry for some of these guys though. They're like on Twitter there was this one dude who was like, this woman was on some tirade and he's like, I appreciate you telling me this, and she's like, I can't believe you think I care about your opinion. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. And I just messaged him and I said, you know, I know that you're not hear this from feminist women, but I know that what you're trying to do is be kind to women. And I think that that's very admirable and it's very masculine. And I appreciate it, even if they don't. And even if it's ideologically opposed to what I believe. I understand the impulse. So, or not the impulse, but I understand the desire. And he was like, oh, thank you. And I guess wandered off to, I don't know.
Go do more feministy stuff.
More simping.
Yeah, well, it's like at some point you got to realize that all men are simps. No offense.
To some degree, yeah.
To some degree.
But, you know, all women are mercenary to some degree, too.
Mm-hmm. To some degree. I mean, even the women who are fighting it know that, and that's why they fight it. You know, you gotta be like, no, not an appropriate response. No, it's not. It's just sort of the way we were made. Like, men have the instinct to protect and provide for women because human women are the most helpless females on the planet. They might not have it if we were as proficient in dealing with our environment as like a female tiger, you know,
or chimpanzee or baboon. But and then women have an impulse to receive that protection and provision
and expect it. And we're they do. They have an impulse to expect it.
To receive it. They don't necessarily have an impulse to respect.
No, expect it.
Expect, yeah.
Yes, expect it. You misheard. Maybe I need to get closer to the mic.
You do.
I said expect it. And I think that feminism basically is just our rationalization for those instincts. I mean, these are women rationalizing why they're owed shit from men, basically.
Yeah.
Which is just like a rationalization of an instinct, which is one of the things that humans do. They do something anyway, and then they rationalize it.
Back rationalize it. Here's the reason why I did that thing that I decided to do 2 minutes ago.
But, you know, despite that, I still think that, you know, men and women can make a real positive connection.
No, of course. And men and women, actually, if you have any kind of self-awareness as a man and as a woman, right, in terms of not just male psychology and female psychology, but, you know, your own value, what you can bring, you know, how you can be of worth to your partner, how your partner can be of worth to you, right? And how you can combine to make something that's more valuable than the sum of its two parts, right? Okay, if you can do that, but then you can make something that's worth more than the sum of its parts. It's like a wonderful thing. But in order to actually be able to do that, you have to be able to honestly look at yourself and honestly look at, like, okay, so how am I lazy? How am I kind of taking advantage? How am I doing this? How am I doing that? Not just me with, you know, my marriage, but my husband as well. How am I lazy? How am I taking advantage? How, and am I taking it for granted? Right?
Yeah, that's a big one. Am I feeling entitled when I should feel gratitude?
Yeah, and so it's basically like you have a situation where if you can actually honestly look at yourself, you can be like, yeah, no, I actually provide value to this relationship. And the reason I provide value to this relationship and to my partner is because I do owe them something in return for the value that they provide to the relationship and to me. Right. And it becomes an exchange and like almost an economic exchange, but there's all this emotion tied up in it too. Right. I think feminism, they went off the rails when they said, well, like, oh, sex should never be transactional, right? Should never be like what? Everything's transactional.
Yeah, I mean, but there's sort of a
pizza
difference.
Delivered to my door is transactional.
There's sort of a difference between,
well, I mean, there's straight money for like, fake sex, but
I think what they're labeling transactional is just maintenance of a relationship.
Yeah, no, everything, every relationship is like there's no such thing as unconditional love. Even your puppy won't love you unconditionally, right? Like there's no such thing as unconditionality.
Yeah, but what is the mentality that expects unconditional love? Because if you think about it,
that's feminism. Unconditional worship.
You expect to be loved even though you're beating them, even though you're not giving them any indication that you love them back.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, I don't know. It's either they want, or I don't think there's a lot of self-awareness in this.
No.
I think it's much more playing out an instinct, and they just want.
Well, that lens is filtering certain things out.
Yeah, they just want to back rationalize this instinct that men owe them.
Yep. And men do owe women, just like women owe men.
Yeah, if you're in a relationship, but let's continue. Let's see what else is going on.
So I have a super chat and I have a super chow. So I'm gonna look at those real quick. So super chow, Fluffy Goat gives us $50. Woo! Thank you, Fluffy Goat. And says, Happy New Year, Badgers. Thanks for all the shows. So I guess he's in a part of the world where it's past midnight and that happens.
Maybe not. He just probably knows that we won't be on tomorrow.
That's true too.
So he's maybe giving an early happy.
I also have some thank yous to after you're done.
All right, I do have another super chat from John Tebby reading about Kwanzaa. That's like the name of the person, who gives us $2 and says, Happy 2023, everyone. Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to first thank the Great Indoors for $500. Thank you, Great Indoors.
Woohoo! Thank you, Great Indoors. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
And Silver Bullet gives us $5. Thank you, Silver Bullet. And I would like to do a very special thank out for Kawa, who attempted to give us $10 3 times, and then the third time was the charm. So thank you, Kawa. And thank you for sticking with it.
Definitely not beta.
No.
Since we were talking about amazing.
You got some Sigma grind going there with the fundraiser. I will not quit. I will get this in.
No. Just try.
Yeah, and then Michael B gives us $25. If you would like to supporters, then please go to feedthebadger.com/support and put a few shekels in the hat. We are, let me see, we are now doing like little musics. We are now $1,565
from our goal.
Yeah, which is good because we started this at, let me look at my numbers here. When we started at this stream, we had 2,605 to go.
Okay.
So we're going pretty good. I'll send out. I might send out an email to rustle some jimmies. That's not the correct use of that, is it?
I mean, that's to upset people. So,
Yeah,
or
well, you know, you could upset people. Say like, donate now.
Hate donate.
Yeah.
Or we're all going down the shitter.
Hate. That doesn't work. Hate donate. You know, it's portmanteau, hate and donate.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty lame.
Nate.
Hate Nate.
Yeah,
Hate
that was.
Nate.
Oh God.
Not everything can be turned into a portmanteau, Alison.
Yeah, or a rhyme or a pun.
Combined to good effect. All right. Let's listen to some more of this nonsense.
Just a little.
You know what's really freaking hilarious? Can I just before we continue?
Yeah, sure.
This is just like, you know, Sydney, and actually, really, Pearlie's like just this self-aware woman, and Sydney probably is too, but she's a little bit, I think she's a little bit on the spectrum, maybe.
Sydney, I've had on the show as a guest. She's just she's just a really thoughtful person.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like she really tries to like,
There's these two thoughtful, self-aware women in a gaggle of hens.
Yeah. Some of which
are like, what is this?
Some of which are roosters. But yes.
There is one rooster who had his comb surgically removed.
But yeah, they are, and of course, like if they wanted to, they could just leave, and these hens would just come. They would attack each other because they'd be trying to show how hard it is being a woman plus this, a woman plus that. And that's kind of the main, I think it's the main thing that keeps us from just talking about like women.
Or you could just describe yourself as this or that, not a woman plus this and a woman plus that, but this or that. Right? Okay. That would have more honesty.
All right. So to use my baboon analogy, any particularly, any implications, but the baboons around the fruit tree, what ends up happening is female baboons establish a sort of a hierarchy of who gets to go into the fruit tree first, who gets to pick which fruit, and it's all based on their relative victimhoods, right? And then suddenly these two people walk into the baboon fields, and they're like, you know, what if we plant more trees?
Yeah.
And then the baboons just go ape shit. And it's like, yeah, it's just two different worlds.
It's true.
You know, because you've got the human world, which is like, you know, we could have a field of fruit trees if we just treat men well and take responsibility for ourselves. And then you got all the baboons like, that means that you're going to deny me
my fruit, my precious fruit.
Precious fruit. Like, I don't understand this speech. Does that mean, you know, I have place in the hierarchy? I know which fruit I'm getting, and I know when I'm. What are you talking about? This field of fruit? Like, I don't. And it's just freaking hilarious because they're so limited in their thinking because they're completely unself-aware. Completely. And what's really hilarious is at the same time as they're like, oh yeah, we change all. No, you don't. Just completely.
You're breaking up for me, Alison.
I'm probably breaking up for everyone. Let me get closer. I said, okay, they're completely driven by their instincts around the fruit without even being able to be aware of it. And they would probably say that they're challenging shit, and they're challenging fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we know. All right.
Born naturally with more muscle mass than a woman.
I keep hearing the term equity. What would in a world that has equity?
Did she just say something transphobic there?
Perhaps, but I don't know like how intersectional her mindset is. So she was just she was just explaining the difference between men and women, I guess. But it could be, but
okay, it's not relevant. All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
Born naturally with more muscle mass than a woman.
I keep hearing the term equity. What would a world that has equity look like? Like, would it be 50% of everyone in the same jobs? Would it be like prison, 50%? That's
equality.
50%. So what does equity look like?
So equity is generally described as a state of fairness, because historically a lot of people have been arguing for equality. But what does that give us? Like 0.5 of the 1% being women. This doesn't really do anything for us. And so people have talked about equity instead, which is instead of sameness, it's fairness.
All right, I'm just pausing
So
it.
it's even more ambiguous, which gives you even more overreach.
Yeah, I mean, it's intentionally deceptive and...
Quick, grab a ball of mud and throw it in the water and stir.
Mud?
This would mean
Are you anti-terrestrial there, Karen?
I am anti-brown.
Yeah.
Anti-brown.
Well, I'm just
Go
gonna...
grab your diva cup and throw it in the water and stir.
Okay, but that would make the water delicious for the feminist men.
Ew.
Oh God, no. No.
Yeah, I said it.
Society, not just for women, but also for everyone.
So which barriers?
Those barriers that you don't believe in.
Well, that's helpful for her. That's helpful for her. That's like got to be the shittiest argument ever. I don't have to prove this because you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
Go back 10 seconds, Brian.
Go back 10 seconds.
Yeah, just use the L button or the J button.
The LJ button.
On your keyboard.
The J button?
Yeah, just hit
like the
J.
The letter J?
Letter J goes back 10 seconds. Letter L goes forward 10
Ramps
seconds. And K pauses it.
I need those ramps, right?
Can we stick to male versus female? That's my question. So I'm thinking male versus female.
But my feminism includes ability, it includes race.
But
can talk.
What?
Okay, so they still haven't been able to find a barrier. You see how they just do this sleight of hand? They're like, they can't find a strong barrier for women, so they just sleight of hand to another minority. It's why the trans women have been sucked into this. Yeah, it's why every minority gets sucked into it, because they got to use the situation for women. They got to append minorities with statistical issues that you can actually point to the situation for women, or they got nothing.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to ingest trans women.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they've put out a pseudopod, and they're absorbing that all those trans people into a giant endosome.
Yep.
And then they're probably gonna do phagocytosis.
This is what.
No offense.
This is what I think traditionalists don't realize. That this is not driven by trans women. It's driven by women. They want to maintain a rationalization, a back rationalization for why men owe them.
I'm pretty sure this host is also trans.
Yeah,
maybe.
They want two things. The average liberal feminist wants two things, which is almost synonymous with women, Western women at this point. They want two things. They want to be able to back rationalize why they owe them shit, so they need to appropriate the vulnerabilities of minorities, people who are actually in some ways legitimately discriminated by society. And they want a sense of piety. And what I mean by that is they want something to submit to morally. So in the absence of God, they have constructed these golden calves in the form of intersectionality.
Yeah.
And they keep popping out a new golden calf because they have a new minority, a tinier minority that's being subjugated. That's their new golden calf. These two things. They want to be able to back rationalize why men owe them, and they want a source of piety.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Women versus men. Like what barriers do we need removed? Because that's my statement. I'm not stating anything else. I'm stating women versus men.
It's very silly.
Like so what barrier?
I just silly. The question is a fair question.
So, yeah,
it's not a fair question.
How is it not a fair question?
Kind of proving the point of why.
They can't answer it.
What?
It's an unfair question because they can't answer it, but they're proving her point. They can immediately go to any other minority, state a problem and a structural barrier or a statistical issue. but they can't when it comes to women.
Mm-hmm.
They have yet, except for the pay gap, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay gap. Like, honestly, if I can live in a nice house with nice things and eat well and be safe and comfortable and have a nice bed, and I don't have to go out and work, I'm all over that.
Yeah.
Well, here's another thing. There have been pay gaps throughout all of history. For example, and what you would actually refer to as a earnings gap.
Yeah.
The French aristocracy had a pay gap with the working class. The working class was making money. The French aristocracy just had welfare.
Well, and it like you look at like pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at, okay, so what's not included in the pay that they're including in the pay gap? What's not included? Right?
Well, usually unemployed men isn't included, and also women on welfare.
Welfare, WIC, food stamps, Medicare and Medicaid, any kind of social program, subsidized housing, subsidized daycare, right? All of that stuff is not included in the pay gap calculation. It's also not in, and most of those things women qualify for more easily than men do. And then on top of that, when they measure poverty, what they're looking at, like, so here I am, okay, I'm a woman. I work 54 hours a week, and I'm raising 2 kids, okay? Raising 2 kids, working 54 hours a week at waiting tables or something like that with 2 kids. And then the government says, oh my goodness, you're under the poverty line, okay? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you welfare and food stamps and subsidized daycare and subsidized housing, right? And then I'm like, wow, I got all this, $1,000 a month, worth of extra money, extra benefits and stuff, right? I'm going to cut down to like 40 hours a week. And then they're like, oh my God, you're more poor than ever after a year, right? Because you're only earning minimum wage at 40 hours a week instead of 54 hours a week. Oh my God, you're more poor. Let's give you more benefits. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, these benefits are great. I can go down to 25 hours a week, spend more time with my kids, cook from home, save money, like all that stuff. Right. And then they're like, oh my God, you're even more poor than last year. Because they don't include any of the benefits, including child support and alimony. They don't include that as income.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We subsidize women's poverty. We do not subsidize. Okay, because we subsidize women's poverty, women can live in it. Men know that they either have a job or they have, sympathetic relatives, or they're on the street. So men have a great deal of impetus to earn. Mm-hmm. And you don't capture that in the statistics here. Okay? No. That's why you would see peasants and working class people in 17th century France doing a lot of work,
earning a lot of money,
and maybe even earning more than that just sat on their ass and took welfare. Nobody knows that about history. That nobles basically had welfare. They had welfare fucking checks. And they didn't do a damn fucking thing. And of course that's not counted as earned. Prior to like the 1700s, the nobles were doing so, but that was usually war. But at that point, so it's
war and running an estate.
Yeah, and there's certain arguments made that had some validity, but once they were just sitting in their ass in Versailles, they weren't doing much of anything except drawing funds. So everybody else was working, they weren't, but that doesn't count. Okay? Yep. Like it doesn't count towards the actual pay gap. If we applied the same standards as what's happening to men and women here.
Well, if we actually looked at all of the income that someone brings in, so that would be alimony, child support, earned wages, tips, and there are a lot of women in jobs that do tipping, and there are a lot of women in those jobs who don't claim their tips on their income taxes. And occasionally it bites them in the ass and they end up getting audited. 7 years. Cough up your receipts for the last 7 years.
Okay.
But not often. And so you end up with a situation where you have women with a lot of under the table income. They're not claiming on their taxes. That isn't measured in any wage gap kind of thing. If I'm a waitress and I'm making $9 an hour, right? And they're comparing me, like, because almost all front of house staff in restaurants and bars are women. Almost all back of house staff are men. Men are being paid $14, $16, even $18 an hour, twice as much. Oh my God, twice as much. Except 3/4 of my income when I was a waitress was tips, right? So if I was making $9 an hour in wages, I was making, 30, $35 an hour altogether. And I was paying taxes on it because I'm not stupid. Right? But I was out earning all of those male coworkers who were working back of house. And it's like, I'm like, none of that's included, right? Child support's not included. Benefits aren't included. Nothing's included in, like, it's not just a wage gap, it's an income gap, right? And if you actually look at the income gap, right, because when you look at the wage gap, man who's paying $1,000 a month in child support, right, that's based on his gross pre-tax income. So they only include his pre-tax gross income in his earnings, right? And then they take $1,000 of that gross, not net, gross, pre-tax. They give it to the woman. She doesn't have to pay tax on it. He still has to pay income tax on that $1,000 he just gave her, right? And you're going to say, oh, well, she's worse off than him. She's worse off than him because he earns more than she does. And it's like, yeah, because she gets $1,000 a month of tax-free income.
This is exactly the same logic that the Ancien regime would use to justify taxing, like, the third estate.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly the same damn logic. I'm sorry, if your logic can just be applied to French royalty
versus peasantry, yeah.
Versus peasantry, then your argument is invalid that you are oppressed. Okay, let's keep going.
All right.
What people, especially Black women, other people who are anybody who's not white, why we hear feminism and we don't want that label because it means, I'm just gonna say, it means that. Like, it means that you've already.
This is not a good clip. I'm gonna jump ahead.
Yeah, she.
1305.
Did she make a freaking point?
No, she's just, trying to participate in the same crap. So here we go.
Set of achieving, because the men who built the world had the mindset of building it. So the women who want to engage and build that further, they need to have that same mindset.
I don't think we do.
Oh, well,
I think it's like assuming that we all want to be.
Yeah, it's sensible.
Was she like, is this just some random woman? They were like, oh.
I mean,
like what she just said there was actually fairly sensible.
Yeah. If you want to do something, then you got to, do it, and that might require
embrace a mindset.
Yeah, that might require you to embrace a mindset, exactly. So
trust the Latino
build that further, they need to have that same mindset.
I don't think we do. I think that's like assuming that we all want to be capitalist babies.
Right.
I think that men are not well adjusted into society and women are not trying
capitalist
to
babies?
embody what they have built for us.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but
What? Did you just see what she said there? Just go back and listen to that.
all right.
Listen closely. Don't say anything.
For the reason they're not achieving what they need to achieve, when that's not the case. You have to have the mindset of achieving, because the men who built the world had the mindset of building it. So the women who want to engage and build that further, they need to have that same mindset.
I don't think we do. I think that's like assuming that we all want to be capitalist babies.
Right.
I think that men are not well adjusted into society and women are not trying to re-embody what they have built for us. I think
don't build anything. Don't build anything. Just be a fucking leech. Just be a leech. Yeah, no. Demand things be built for you. Yeah, that's...
You just admitted, like, right there. How is this okay, maybe she's not a feminist.
I don't want to be a capitalist. No, she is a feminist. This Muslim woman, right?
Okay, but
I don't want to be a capitalist baby who embraces a mindset of building something. I just want to leech off of the things that other people built.
No, men. He specifically says men built the society for us. At least she's being honest on that score there.
But what woman would want to actually have a mindset of building something? I don't want to be a capitalist baby. The capitalist baby that built the entire fucking world. Jesus Christ.
I know. But the point is that she actually admitted it.
Yeah. She admitted it, thinking that she was rebutting the argument. When she was just like, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We just want to leech off of what men do and what they build.
I can't believe that feminism has managed to snow job. It has to be because it's a back rationalization for an instinct. Because this is
it has to
poor
be
craft when it comes to conmanship.
It has to be because neoteny, in women, and we like want to protect and provide for women, and and they're just so darn cute, and even when they're not cute, we still think they're pretty much harmless because they don't look really evil, and unless they're Gretchen Whitmer, but that's another story. And yeah, so it's like, we should probably take care of them, because that's what our instincts are telling us to do. And the women are like, yeah, I should probably fucking just freaking grift until I can't grift anymore, and I'll do it out in the open, and nobody's gonna call me on my bullshit because I can literally refute an argument by reinforcing it. And say, yeah, I rebutted. Debunked.
It's almost
you
like
said A. Oh, no. A is not A. A is A. Debunked.
Nuance. That means you agree with me, even though you can't humanly agree with me because I've just said A and at the same time. Ugh. No, like I said, this is just. Like it's like a hen house with absolutely zero self-awareness.
No logic.
Who are very cerebral.
Well, they're very navel-gazing, I'm sure. But
no. The two, Sydney and Pearl.
Oh, very Sydney and Pearl are, like they're not perfect. They don't have. I don't think that they're like quite at the 30,000 foot view of everything being interconnected and like all of the different moving parts.
It's
like
all
Sydney saying,
connected, man. It's all connected. I'm going to show you my map with the string.
Yes, but Sydney saying, like, well, unlike previous brands of feminism, it's like, no, they were all fucking bullshit. But you actually have to like go through years sometimes of looking into that to realize that it actually has all been bullshit the entire time. but or it was never not corrupt. It was it never didn't have a vein of corruption right down the middle of it.
Well,
and it takes a while. It takes a while to build up that awareness, to learn all of those things. It's like anything else; you have to learn it.
Well, there's like this,
but at least they're sensible.
There's
at least they can look at what's here and now and say, you know what? I'm just not seeing it. Not seeing the oppression.
Yeah, and they can keep to the line of you're people's oppression in order to bolster your argument that you're oppressed as a woman. Well, but you're basically proving my argument that you find an oppression based on being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's keep. I'll forget my skit. Let's keep going.
All right.
Oh, I do have something.
Say what? All right. Well,
I think she stepped away.
1328. Okay. I think jump ahead maybe.
Forgetting is a very important detail, which is just like human respect and dignity.
Yeah,
and not asking people to prove what their experience is and to prove to you. Like, it is like such conservative thinking to say, like, I don't understand, explain it to me, versus just saying, I don't understand and let me respect what you are saying.
I'm respecting whatever your starting point.
So you don't need to prove nothing. You don't need to prove nothing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
People just have to.
You just need to say, I am oppressed, and everybody should just accept it. And you shouldn't have to prove anything.
And
you shouldn't have to demonstrate anything.
And that gets you a life like a fucking French royal.
Follow the science. Follow the science, people.
Okay, what is this? What does this woman say to her as a result of that? Because I don't think this woman is a freaking. She seems like she might be a normie.
All right, let's see.
I'm respecting that. I'm really respecting that. I'm saying that if you don't have the mindset you can even achieve it, you're never going to even try. So it's never.
Achieve what? Like, what are we talking about? Because I feel like you projected this like capitalist ideology on every woman.
Achieve whatever it is you're looking for.
Well, the irony of all this is...
If you want to make money, you actually have to generate productivity and make money.
Yeah, like these women, they're talking about like being feminists, and that means that they can strike out on their own and they can be successful. And she's basically saying, well, why would we want to be successful? That sounds like capitalist, bullshit to me. And I'm like, well, then what do you want? Like, if you don't want to be able to like take charge of your own life, build a business, whatever it is, right? Have your own shit. Then what is it that you want? You just want men to just take care of you?
Okay,
like that's that's a different conversation.
I'm gonna use my analogy, my squirrel analogy. Okay, you ever watched squirrels?
Can I just say something really quick? I know what's going on in her head. Is this woman getting more fruit than me? That is what is going on in her head.
Hey, yeah. That's basically
okay. Have you ever watched squirrels? Okay, because if you watch squirrels, most of the time when it's not like mating season, most of the time they're like highly aware, highly alert. They're like they hop forward 3 times and then they look around. What's trying to eat me now? Right? And then they hop forward 3 more times and then they look around. What's trying to eat me now? They look up, they look down for cats, they look sideways for magpies, they look up for owls, right? They're looking everywhere, looking to see what's trying to kill and eat them today, right? And they have to do that. They have to do that because they have to go out and earn their living. They have to go out and gather food, gather nuts, gather acorns, gather freaking pine cones, gather whatever the fuck they can gather, right? And bring it home and tuck it away, right? Not just what they need right now, but what they're going to need for the winter of the horrible Edmonton winter of like mass extinction, okay? Which is what we had the last 3 winters, right? Mass extinction of everything except for mice and squirrels. Okay.
Global warming.
Yeah, because of global warming, yes. Anyway, so that's what they have to do just to survive. just not to build anything other than kids, right? But to survive. Okay, now, take that same squirrel, stick it in a cage, and give it hamster pellets and almonds and, you know, really nice toasted peanuts and you know, regular supply of water. And then if it was a woman, it would say, "You're oppressing me.
Mm-hmm.
You're keeping me in a cage."
And you know why?
Then you let it back outside, and it's like, "You're oppressing me because you're not taking care of me and
then you
keeping me safe."
You kill it and roast it, eat it. Your squirrel is defective, but you know why? It's because they think that that's how they got the fucking cage, is by being a victim of something. Like that's the way.
Not that they were being rescued.
I gotta
from
be rescued.
hardship.
Otherwise, I'm not going to get what I need. It's like I said, this woman is what's going through her head right now. This woman getting more fruit than me, and is my supply of fruit threatened?
End capitalism, because as long as I get one slice of orange a day and all these other bitches get none, I'm top of the heap.
Yeah. Okay. A little bit more.
All right, let's do some more. Let me just check this.
I should do some thank yous, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. And we also got a super chow. Okay, so since Kawa put through like all those $25 or $10, three other people did as well. Following his example. Mrs. Anne of Arc puts in $10. Thank you, Art.
Thank you.
Gillian L puts in $10. Thank you, Gillian.
Thank you, Gillian.
Sweebish. I really hope that's not your legal name. Sweebish gives us $10. Thank you, Sweebish. So thank you to them. We are now. We're now at. It'd be great to get under 1,000 today, but we're now at 1,000. Actually, 1,645. 1,645 left to go. And just today, we went from dun 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 dun. I'm making sounds.
Yeah, that's fine. Just to fill the air.
Just to fill the air with blather.
Blah blah
okay.
blah.
Blah 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 blah. So we have down to.
Wait, you're breaking up. I didn't.
Oh wait, we're down almost $1,000 today. So
all right.
Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep the momentum going, folks. So feedthebadger.com/support. Join our very generous supporters. $5, $10, great help. I really appreciate it. I especially want to do a shout out for the people who put the small donations in. Not that I don't appreciate the big ones, but I know that sometimes it can be intimidating to be like, oh, I can't really help that much. But everything helps.
Yeah.
And there are people who give us, men who give us people. I guess I should say people because I don't know, but I don't know what they identify. They give us something every month, and I know that's a big portion of their budget, and I really appreciate it. Even though it may seem like it's not much, and they always say, "Oh, I wish I could give more," but everything that you are able to help out with. So never feel like it's not enough or that, $5 is not appreciated, because it very much is. And of course, the people who the people who are big donors are all appreciated.
Yeah.
Of course, like that goes without saying, I think. But anyway, so once again, that's feedthebadger.com/. Thank you once again to make sure we can continue to do this work. I do really appreciate it, because it is quite amazing that you extend yourself to allow us to continue. I know that this is not a taste for everyone. What we talk about is not a universally appreciated taste, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes bitters is exactly what you need in life. All right. So feedthebadger.com/support.
All right. So I got a couple super chats. Albatross gives us $5 and says, Happy New Year, Badgers, and thanks for all the content. Peace sign, rock and roll, like devil fingers or whatever you call it. You know what I mean. The rock and roll hand. A purple heart and a dove. So thank you, Albatross. And then Scarlock gives us $10 and says, just like General Zhukov, Socialist Chick is willing to sacrifice any number of men for minimal or no gain. She also has more medals, apparently. Oh, because of the coins on her.
The weird vest.
Yeah. I thought that she was a part-time belly dancer or something.
Stolen valor.
Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that women can wear all this bling
and then claim that they're oppressed? Yeah.
Yeah, then complain about how hard they have it. Even the trans woman on the panel is dressed pretty dressed kind of down. So, all right. I guess I'll listen to the rest of this mindset debate.
Super chow?
Equality, equity. But what I'm saying is women...
Oh, I don't know. Is there a super chow? Hold on.
Yes. Do you want me to read it? Because I can get...
Yeah, go ahead. If you're already looking at it. Because...
Yeah. Okay, so AC gives us $25. Please have a look at the recent output on YouTube.
You're breaking up. You're breaking
up, Alison.
AC for 25. I don't know why this is the case.
Are you talking really close? Because I know that you get excited and then you know.
Yeah. Am I close enough? Am I breaking up?
Yeah. No. It sounds good.
You're
AC gives us $25 and says, please have a look at the recent output of YouTube on YouTube of Just Pearly Things and Sarah Garvey. They are carrying the banner for men's issues in the UK to a younger generation and race. Yeah, I've seen a bit of it. It's just, okay, no offense. This is going to sound really strange. I fucking hate watching YouTube videos. Also, I really appreciate that they're bringing...
Why are you so mean to Uncle Roger?
I like Uncle Roger's YouTube videos. I like that, and
you
I like
friend with Auntie Helen.
I also like the Z mockumentary videos. That's how the starfish do.
No idea.
But I don't really like watching. This is gonna sound horrible. I don't really like watching
YouTube commentary.
Yeah, YouTube commentary. And I appreciate what Just Pearly Things is doing. I appreciate it a lot. It's great. The other reason is because it's not new to me, I think. I think a lot of people our show
yeah,
too.
Sure.
It's like, this is stuff that we've been talking about for 10 years now.
12.
Yeah. No, for me, it's been like 20.
Yeah.
But I started on blogs, and I remember I had my like 20 years ago, I went on a feminist blog, and I'm like, okay. So I have some questions. And I was like leaving feminism. I have some questions. And not only did I not get an answer, I got a lot of very, very angry people. Like, geez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to be around you guys. Anyway, so that was like 20 years. So it's been a while. All right. But I really do appreciate, I've seen some of the things that she said. She seems really on, of course, we're watching, and she seems really on point here too. So I appreciate that. And Karen's watched your Just Pearly Things, right?
Well, I haven't watched Just Pearly Things. I actually have subscribed to a couple of one channel, two channels of black men who do reaction videos and commentary, right?
The reaction videos are a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, the reaction videos would be LFR Family. And he's learning. He's like basically on a journey of learning, right, about politics. He was just like, I never cared. about politics. You know, it was blue no matter who, and you know that's because that's what we were expected to do. And but now I'm learning, and blah blah blah. And he reacts to videos, and he reacts to like a wide variety of videos, including some Just Pearly Things videos, and then Black Conservative Perspective, who's just Greg Foreman, who he just does commentary on current events and stuff like that. And I find them both quite entertaining, not as informative as someone like Mark Dice, who goes into like things like MK Ultra and COINTELPRO and Operation Mockingbird and the Bohemian Grove and the Bilderberg Group and, you know, all those kinds of things. And actually but these are people like I like to watch people sort of having their eyes open to things that are going on. I like to watch them in the process of figuring things out, and you know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cathartic. So and Van of LFR Family is he's amusing because he won't swear, he won't cuss. If he wants to say shit, he says sugar honey iced tea.
Oh, I was muted, huh?
That's funny.
Yeah, that is funny. Okay, let's watch a little.
All right, I'm gonna play some more.
I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, guys. We're not going anywhere.
What?
Men in the feminist space and a lot of these other spaces, we don't acknowledge that we have to take the initiative. We have to take the action. We have to have the mindset. We have to demand those things.
I don't understand how we're getting so off topic. This is about...
No, you don't have to demand. This is the thing. This is the thing that drives me crazy. You don't have to demand. You have to serve.
Yeah.
You serve and then say, this is what you owe me for my service. You don't demand. You don't just walk in and say, here are my demands. You say, here's what I have to offer. Here's what I think it's worth.
Yeah, there's a fundamental aspect of a masculine mindset that they just completely miss. It's like they do not understand it. They don't understand how men acquired the recognition that they get. They don't understand the idea that you do it and then you ask. You know, everything revolves around this mindset that they're in a position to demand, and they have the right and the entitlement to demand stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's because you're a woman. Mm-hmm. That's because you are surrounded by the only male animal on the planet. But well, I guess also that isn't domesticated. But you know, you're surrounded by human males who have an instinct, the most developed instinct to provide and protect for women as any male on the planet, which is, you know, why we have cities and all this stuff. You think it just pops out of ether? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, men just farted it into existence.
Yeah, I mean, like, you look at any other species, why do often females have a nest? Because of, like, with squirrels, it's because the male squirrel builds the nest, you know? And that usually is proportionate to the helplessness of the offspring and the helpless female during the process of raising that offspring. And human females are the most helpless, and human babies are the most helpless, even more important, which translates into the most simpy male on the planet. And it's like, I mean, you use that as such a negative term, but it isn't. Men's service for women is not negative. What's negative is women's exploitation of that service.
Yeah, and ingratitude for it.
So men are not wrong for being simps. I know, I've seen a lot of men want to compete over that, and even guys. It's because you're putting the onus on the wrong part. In order to actually stop men being simps, we would have to bioengineer ourselves tigers or something. So the average female human could squat down in a ditch, give birth, pick up her baby, strap it on her back, and then go off with the Navy SEALs and kill Osama bin Laden.
Yeah.
After resting for 5 minutes, if she was a fucking tigress, okay? That's what we would have to do to actually get rid of simping in men. Instead, what we need to do is recognize that it is, I know that people are screaming at me when I say this, they're really upset. Recognize that this is something that most men don't want to get rid of. If you say to most men, hey, you can hit this button and you won't give a flying fuck about women, they won't do it.
No, they won't.
They won't. And they don't want to
It'll
listen.
be about their wife, their mother, their sisters, or their daughter.
Yeah, and they don't want to listen to men who basically say, hey, this.
Hello?
What we need, my opinion, is that we need to accept this about men and turn our gaze to women and say, are you being responsible in what you're asking for?
Or are you being exploitive?
Or are you being exploitative? And are you being abusive?
Yeah.
And even possibly even worse, are you being completely counterproductive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be on women. Or we go the route of bioengineering human beings to be tigers, in which case we won't have a civilization. Everybody can give up, can let go of internal indoor plumbing, central heating, all of that, because all of that comes out of that interconnection between men and women and men's simpiness. We can give up all of that and go live in a freaking jungle killing gazelles with our tiger.
Well, just look at the etymology, right? The word hero derives from servant.
Yes. Yeah,
so,
but you see what I'm getting? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when we...
No, but so Sydney and Pearlie should say, when they say, oh, well, women aren't allowed to be heroes. They're gatekeeped away from being heroes. And it's like, oh, so men are gatekeeping them away from being servants.
Yeah.
Because that's what a hero is. It's servant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
somebody with an obligation.
And I don't mean to say this that exploiting men's desire to simp is acceptable. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, no, that's the part that's not acceptable. And this is the thing, right? This is the thing about transactionality, right? If you have a man who's willing to perform for you, right? Then you have to be willing to perform something just as valuable to him in return, right? Something that he values in particular, not necessarily the same thing for every man, right? But something that he values as much as that to him in return for that. That's the partnership, right? I don't understand where we got this idea. Well, I do understand where we got it. That a romantic partnership has no similarities at all with a business partnership, right? Or an economic partnership where both partners contribute something and both partners benefit from it, right? This is how partnerships are formed, whether it's in business, whether it's in, I don't know, you stumble across somebody in the woods and you form a coalition because there's a zombie apocalypse going on, or in a romantic relationship, you form a partnership, right? Where you each contribute what you're best at, and you fill in the spots on each other's spreadsheets, and you both appreciate the contribution of the other, right? That's literally what a fair deal is. That's what people could have if women didn't feel entitled endless, unremunerated rewards from their men, right? And there are a lot of women who feel that way these days, and I think feminism has trained them to do that, to be like, yeah, no, it's like Tommy Sotomayor said, when you look at the greatest poet of our age, Tupac Shakur, right? He said it plainly, you may have been a crack fiend, mama, but you always was a black queen, mama, right? Like, you're not allowed to badmouth your mom. You have to appreciate everything she does, even if it's smoking crack and neglecting you, right? But daddy ain't shit. You know, go on the playground, some kid tells you, your daddy ain't shit. And you're like, you know my daddy?
Yeah.
Like, this is just, I'm sorry, but this has gone so freaking off the rails. This has gone so out of balance in terms of, you know, like, what we, like, and what we're prepared to legally force men to do, right? Pay child support for kids they never see. Pay alimony for a wife that doesn't cook, clean, or fuck them, right? You know, and basically, if he doesn't pay it, jail for him, right?
And take responsibility for society, for the resultant statistical realities of a society that does that. So not only does society force men to do all of this, because that results in a society in which women don't have to earn as much as men in order to have the same standard of living, we then turn around and blame men for that too.
Yeah, no, and we blame men for setting up the rules because, hey, it's a patriarchy and men are all on team men, right? And so they're all on team men, and so they set the rules, and the rules are to oppress women, even though we give women free money and persecute the men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, but men are privileged because men in power, it's Mike Buchanan and those feminists on that panel years ago, right? And he's like, well, the woman said, well, you know, the judges that are more harsh on men are mostly men. And he's like, yeah, you prove my point. You prove my point that patriarchy, if patriarchy exists, it ain't what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because it lets women off the hook and it punishes men disproportionately for stepping across a boundary. And so, yeah, no, your idea of patriarchy where men are privileged because men are the majority of the people in charge. Yeah, no, that doesn't exist. So, anyway.
More.
Okay, just a little bit more. I have to go at 2:45.
Okay. All right. This is
2:45 being in like 8 minutes.
I want to let Sydney do this rant, and then I got one great thing from Pearl, and we can stop after that.
Whereas everybody wants to make this about their individual, here are all the multitude of other things that factor into my person. Great. This is about feminism. It's about womanhood. I understand that all of you have your own individual experiences and the other things that feed into you as a person. That's perfectly fine. But this is where intersectionality falls off the planet and loses, I would argue, probably the vast majority of people, including me. I'm not even a feminist. I don't give a crap about feminists arguing amongst themselves about who's the most victimized. But this is annoying to listen to. I honestly I don't understand anything anybody's even trying to get at.
Look, I just want to say that I don't think equity and this concept of competition can't coexist with each other. Equity is building more facilities for people who need them. It is recognizing that there are holes in the market and there's opportunity.
Oh, okay, sir. Let me jump ahead now.
Sir.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. That's not. I just wanted to get to Sydney's like little rant because I kind of dug it, but all right. So yeah, this was like, I don't know, right here.
Are you saying meaning?
You can
like
ignore. I don't know what these people are talking.
A number of reasons. There's
yeah, they got into like a big thing about abortion, so I just skipped that part.
Lots of reasons that not all women are having babies.
Pearl, I saw your hand up. Yeah.
I think women want to sleep around and not have any consequence for it.
Hell yeah, we do.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? But here's the best part, because I think this is it. These women are again exposing themselves. Listen to their reaction.
Not have any consequence for it.
Hell yeah, we do.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of, taking personal accountability and being on birth control, they just want to do whatever they want.
You say this.
I like how it's settling in and they're like, did we just agree to something that made us look bad?
Yeah, they did.
They did, right?
I've always found it interesting sorry, I'm closer to that we live in a society that gives women all of these means by which to prevent pregnancy and terminate it, and the least amount of respect for the results of their choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how that has happened. Because
you're breaking up again, Alison.
Okay, it would be more fair. But I think it'd be more fair the more ability you give a woman to prevent or terminate pregnancy, the more responsibility she has. So, because basically she's the only reason, and yet
she's the only reason the kid exists. Yeah, so it should be her responsibility. 100%.
It should be 100% her responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Even if she's
but you're
married.
Still breaking up, Alison.
I don't know why. I can't stop that, but except for muting. And so, are we done with the Pearlies?
This clip?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I think that Pearly is right. Like I think that in most cases, it's women that are just being promiscuous and they're not really thinking about the consequences. And so they want to just be able to get abortions or even have the baby and make the man pay or both, like this stuff happens all the time. Yeah. Collect welfare, whatever. Right. So yeah, I that was basically the thing. And then they were going to get into other stuff, but yeah.
Okay. So we're not probably going to get into other stuff. So I will do my thank you. Machine 3125, who I hope that isn't your legal names, gave us $100. So thank you, Machine.
Thank you. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fuyo.
And if you would like to join our very generous supporters, once again at feedthebadger.support, which you can do at any time, even after the stream, because I believe this stream will stay live. We don't have to delist this one.
Okay.
And so thank you for everybody who supported, and thank you for everybody who's going to support. Very much appreciated. Any amount is great. Once again, that's feedthebadger.com/support.
All right. Okay, so what now?
I think I need to go. Like, I'm 3 minutes from my cutoff here. So I don't know if we want to revisit this at some point, but
should we all sit in the back of the bus and just stare off into the distance as the music plays over the final credits? Have some sort of awkward ennui ending.
No, that doesn't appeal to me at all.
Okay.
An awkward ennui denouement, you mean?
Yeah. Let's go for the awkward. I think we're already at.
It's awkward.
Yeah, but can we manage ennui with anybody being able to see us? Is there a vocalization for?
No, like.
What is life for? What's the meaning of existence?
From the depths of boundless ennui, I spit my heart's blackest hate on thee.
Okay, just let's take it out there, Brian.
All right. Well,
I'm reaching levels of awkward I didn't think were possible.
Well, you would be the person to find it. All right. So if you guys like this video, please hit the like button. It really helps us out. This video will remain live, so we can hopefully get a little bit more help. So if you like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications so you know when our streams go live, and comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we had to say about this Vice video. I'm kind of glad that they're putting this stuff out because it gives us something to do, so that's nice. And if you could, please share this video, because sharing is caring. It really helps us get our message out there. I noticed that someone in the comments or in the chat said that this channel should have thousands of live viewers, and I agree. I think it should. But for some reason, we don't. I think YouTube is against us. So
a combination of that. I'm pretty sure we probably have an FBI file. And also, this particular subject really rubs against the grain of people. It really does. Like, women want to be able to feel like they're entitled to men's whatever, and men want, for some whatever reason, men like to be forced into simping. I don't know. There's this quality that they have.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want to feel like they're earning something or earning out of, you know, and that really seems to the masculine and the feminine gender expression and how men and women sort of understand the world around them. So what we talk about, which is basically, hey, wait a minute, instead of just how they can stride into the world and build anything for women, is not something that people are really comfortable with. Yeah. So that's one. I think that's probably the biggest reason. It just really goes against the not actually recognizing an instinct. We are. I don't know what we're doing.
Blazing trails.
Blazing trails to levels of awkwardness that no one ever thought possible.
And peeing on tree trunks.
Now that I've gone through all of the whole spiel, I got a couple super chats right at the end. So Sammy B gives us £10. Yeah,
ooh,
pounds.
Real money.
Yeah, and says, Badgers, question if I may. Can you identify the one personal quality that allows you to genuinely empathize with men's issues? It's so crazy how rare it is. Thank you all for the continued support.
I think for me, it's probably because I'm, for whatever freak of nature, I'm super focused on seeing how my actions affect the world around me. Like I was the girl with like MX that tried to jump it off of things, you know?
Well, for me, I was told several times that I was basically a gay male trapped in a woman's body. Or, you know, like I'm not flamboyant or anything, but I'm not very feminine at all. And I got the digit lengths to prove it. And I think that probably really helps me look at things more dispassionately.
I would say that, you know, me and Karen and Sydney and Just Pearly Things are probably more masculine in outlook than the rest of the women on that panel, except for the one woman who was from Normie and was like, but these are the consequences of the things that you want. And all the other hens were like, clack, 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 you can't.
Yeah. Like, no, it's basically if you like masculine things, and if you were allowed to indulge in masculine things as a child and growing up and through puberty and all of that, and you never questioned your gender because you could be a girl and like masculine things, because that's what I had. That's not what I would have today if I was growing up today, but it's what I had back then in the 70s and 80s. You actually spend a lot of time around boys. You spend a lot of time figuring out how to relate to boys as friends, compatriots, team members, right? All of those things, and not necessarily as romantic partners, but you learn the psychology of how to fit into the group, and of mostly males, and hold your own and all of that stuff. So it's basically, I think, you know, like going through that helped me understand what it's like and what it's for, right? What male group psychology is like and for, and then, you know, just sort of, it just gave me a certain amount of empathy for the male experience. Even though I was let off the hook more often than my male peers let off the hook because I was a girl. But, you know, eventually became like a point of honor that I wouldn't want to be let off the hook.
Yeah. And the thing is that I would say that, ironically, my approach when I was calling myself a feminist, I actually felt that as a woman, I should be held to the same standard as men. And it took me a while to realize that
that's not what feminism was.
Not what feminism is, and that I would carry women who not only wouldn't agree with me, but would actively despise me for even saying that. I'm like, well, why would I want to be part of a movement that despises my philosophy?
Yeah.
You know, and despises me? And I think it is like, it really does come. Feminists are very masculine. I don't see it. I think they're actually suffer from toxic femininity, hyperfemininity.
Hyperfemininity. The feminine imperative boiled down to its purest elixir.
Yeah, and like not a functional femininity, because you know there's good things about being feminine, like being so responsive to something that has needs. That's sort of a necessary quality. And other stuff, you know, and also being able to set boundaries and impact, pretty critical emotional skill. But this is way, way, way off in the weeds. It's almost as if when you try to remove masculinity as a legitimate expression, women just become totally
out of control.
Out of control. My doggo is asking the frisbee.
Yeah, well, my pillow is asking for nap, but I have some chores I have to do before I put my head down. So
let's finish those super chows.
All right, super chats. I got another super chat from Voltaire's Puppet, who gives us 20 pounds, and he says, or she, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And I don't know about super chows because I haven't looked.
Nothing so far. Okay, so let's take it out.
Let's take it out. Yeah. So thank you guys. Once again, you know, like, share, subscribe, comment, and we will talk to you all in the next video. Have a good one, everybody.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.